Hello dear student. Today we are going to take up a new chapter. The chapter number is chapter number 7. And the name of the chapter is Weather, Climate and Adaptation of Animals to Climate. In this chapter, we are going to study what is weather, what is climate, what is the difference between weather and climate, what are the different factors that influence the climate of an area, and how different animals adapt to different climatic conditions present in the world. In this chapter, before starting about the weather, climate and adaptations of animals, let us first discuss something about the planet in which we are living, the planet Earth. We have learned that there are a total of 8 planets in our solar system. But out of all these 8 planets, the planet Earth is the only planet where life survives. This is because of 3 main reasons. In our solar system, the Sun lies at the center of the solar system, and the other planets are arranged in an orbit revolving around the Sun. The position of the Earth and the distance of the Earth from the Sun is sufficient enough to obtain a particular amount of sunlight and the solar heat radiation. The heat energy that is received by the Earth is sufficient for sustaining life. The other planets, which are nearer to the Sun, receive more amount of sunlight and more amount of solar heat energy. Because of that reason, they are too hot for the living organisms to survive. The other planets, which are farther away from the Sun as compared to that of the Earth, receive less amount of sunlight and solar heat radiation. Because of that reason, they have a colder temperature as compared to that of the Earth. This colder temperature, which are present in different other planets farther away from Earth, from the Sun, they are not sufficient. It is not sufficient for the living organisms to survive. The second reason why life exists on Earth and not on other planets is because of the presence of a gas known as carbon dioxide and water vapor in the atmosphere. The Earth is surrounded by an envelope of air, which we call it as the atmosphere. The sun heat energy enters the Earth's atmosphere, reaches to the surface of the Earth, and then some amount of the heat energy got reflected by the surface of the Earth. The heat energy reflected by the surface of the Earth are captured by this gas, carbon dioxide, and the water vapor. The CO2 which I have written on the board, it is the formula for carbon dioxide, while the H2O that I have written here, it is the formula for water. But the water that is present here, it is not in a liquid form, it is in the form of the gas, which we call it as the water vapor. The heat energy that has been trapped by carbon dioxide and the water vapor is not allowed to escape out of the atmosphere. Because of this reason, it helps in maintaining a particular temperature in the atmosphere so that the living organism can survive. If the heat energy that has been trapped by the carbon dioxide and water vapor is not there at that time, during the night time when there is no sunlight, the temperature of the Earth will fall below -30 degrees Celsius. And this temperature is not sufficient for the living organisms to survive. So the presence of carbon dioxide and the water vapor in the atmosphere helps in maintaining a narrow range of temperature. The maximum temperature and the minimum temperature is been maintained by the help of these two gases. So in this narrow range of temperature, the living organisms can survive easily. If the carbon dioxide and the water vapor are not there in the atmosphere, then the range between the maximum and the minimum temperature that will be present on the Earth and in the atmosphere of the Earth will be very huge. And in this huge range, difference in the range of temperature will not be supporting the survival of the living organism on Earth. Next important point, why life survives or why life exists on Earth is the presence of a layer of gas known as ozone layer. The atmosphere of the Earth, at the uppermost layer, at the outermost layer, there is the presence of this layer known as ozone layer. The ozone layer prevents the harmful ultraviolet radiation that is coming from the sun along with the sunlight to enter the Earth's atmosphere and reach the surface of the Earth. The ultraviolet radiation is a very harmful radiation. The ultraviolet radiation, we in short call it as the UV rays. This ultraviolet radiation, if it enters inside the Earth's atmosphere and reaches the surface of the Earth, then it can cause severe type of harm to the human being as well as to the other living organism. The ultraviolet radiation can even cause cancer, especially the skin cancer. This ozone layer doesn't allow the ultraviolet radiation to enter in the Earth's atmosphere. Because of that reason, the ultraviolet radiation is not able to harm any life form that are present on the surface of the Earth. Now, let us come to the next topic, weather. Weather is the day-to-day condition of the atmosphere at a place when we consider the temperature, humidity, rainfall, etc. This weather used to change frequently. The weather of one day will not be same with the weather of another day. The weather even used to change in a day itself. Suppose, for example, sometimes we have observed that in morning there used to be bright sunlight. It used to be sunny. But when the time passes, the weather used to change to some other thing. The sunny weather which we have in the morning may change into a cloudy weather in the afternoon. It may even change into rainy weather in the evening. So, the weather of a place used to change frequently. Not only in days, it may even change in the day itself, in a single day itself. So, the weather is taken for a short duration of time, for a short period. Here, we have mentioned some terms: temperature, humidity, rainfall. This temperature, humidity, and rainfall, they are known as the elements of weather. These elements of weather is the main factor why the weather changes day to day. The temperature is measured by the help of a device known as the thermometer. Here, for measuring the weather, we used to measure the minimum temperature of a day as well as the maximum temperature of a day. So with the help of the simple thermometer like that of the laboratory thermometer or the clinical thermometer, we cannot measure the maximum and minimum temperature. So in order to measure the temperature of the atmosphere, in order to identify what type of weather we have, we use a particular type of thermometer known as minimum and maximum thermometer. The minimum and maximum thermometer helps in identifying what is the minimum temperature of that particular day and what is the maximum temperature of a particular day. The next element, rainfall. These elements of the weather, which we call it as a rainfall, it is measured by the help of a device known as rain gauge. Rain gauge is a simple device having a funnel and a jar at the bottom. The funnel, which is present at the top, used to collect the amount of rainfall that is falling on it, and it will be collected in the jar. Afterward, the amount of rain that has been collected in a particular duration of time will be measured, and that will be the amount of rainfall that is received by that particular area in a particular time. Humidity is the another element that we had discussed when we were discussing the definition of weather. Humidity actually is the amount of atmospheric water vapor, means the amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere. The humidity also influences the weather of an area for a particular time. Next element of the weather is the wind speed. The wind speed is measured by the help of a device known as anemometer. So, some of the main important elements of the weather are being measured by the help of simple devices. So, after discussing this, we are going to discuss about weather report. Weather report is the report of the weather for a particular day for a particular duration of time. The weather report is being published every day in the newspaper as well as shown in the television during the news hours. The weather report used to give some information about the weather condition of a particular place for a particular day. Some of the informations that have been provided in the weather report are: number 1, maximum and minimum temperature for the past 24 hours, means what will be the maximum and minimum temperature for that particular day. Second point is the sunset and the sunrise, the time when the sun sets and the time when the sun rises. Next one, moonset and moonrise, means the time when the moon sets in the morning and the time when the moon rises in the evening. The fourth point, maximum and minimum humidity of the place for the past 24 hours, means what is the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, what will be the minimum, what will be the maximum. The fifth point is the general information of the weather, like whether it is cloudy, whether it is sunny, whether it will be rainy, or whether it will be foggy. These are the informations that are being given in the weather report shown in the newspaper as well as in the news channel, TV channel. So, up to here, we are going to discuss for today. In the coming class, we are going to discuss about the climate and the adaptations of the animals to different climates.